Under the fluorescent lights of the supermarket, shoppers moved about, lost in their own thoughts. But for one young mother, the next 10 minutes would mark the darkest of her life. Her hands shook as she slipped a can of baby formula into her jacket. She thought no one was watching, but two people were. One was Mike Turner, the supermarket's security guard, and the other was world-famous rock star Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy often stepped away from the spotlight to blend in with everyday life. What he witnessed that day would change this mother's life forever. Sometimes, the difference between falling and rising depends on a single person willing to notice. Los Angeles, Eagle Rock neighborhood, March 14, 2019. 2:30 p.m., Wholesome Market. The medium-sized supermarket, known for its organic products and fair prices, was usually a local gathering spot. That day, the air carried an unusual March chill. Sarah Mitchell, 24, entered shivering not just from the cold. In her arms was her 7-month-old daughter, Lily. A year earlier, Sarah's life had been full of hope. But 3 months before Lily's birth, her fiancé Brandon had died in a car accident. No insurance. Outstanding debts had left her with nothing but memories and a growing baby. After Lily's birth, bills piled up. Hospital fees, rent, utilities, waitressing barely covered the basics. Her parents, retired and living out of state, couldn't provide support. Sarah moved slowly toward the baby formula aisle. Lily's last can had run out that morning, and her cries filled the store. Sarah had only $7.30 in her wallet. A single can cost $18. As she stared at the formula, her world felt suffocating. Across the store, Ozzy Osbourne lingered at the coffee aisle. At 70, he still radiated the energy that had made him famous. Dressed in a black t-shirt, worn jeans, and large sunglasses, he shopped alone, his driver waiting outside. Bloody hell, Sharon, he muttered, scanning the coffee options. Why are there so many choices? Then he noticed the young woman with the baby. At first glance it seemed like an ordinary scene, but her posture caught his eye. Trembling hands, panicked glances, and then she tucked the can into her jacket. Ozzy felt a pang of understanding. This wasn't theft, it was desperation. Security guard Mike Turner saw it too. At 35, a former police officer dismissed over excessive force allegations. Mike took his supermarket duties seriously. Reaching for his radio, he called the manager. "Base, this is Mike. Shoplifting in the baby formula aisle. Young woman, white, 20s, baby in arms." Moving to intervene. As Sarah secured the formula, her stomach twisted. She had never stolen anything before. Her mother's words echoed in her mind. Honesty is more important than anything. Yet now she realized honesty alone wouldn't feed her baby. Step by step, she moved toward the exit. Every movement felt unbearable. Passing the registers, head down, heart racing, 20 feet left, then 15, then 10. "Excuse me, ma'am." Mike's firm voice cut through the store. Sarah froze. Time seemed to stop. Mike approached, his hand resting near his belt, where handcuffs hung. "Please come with me. I have a few questions." Every shopper, around 20 to 30 people, turned to watch. The baby sensed her mother's tension and began to cry. Sarah's eyes welled up, but she couldn't speak. She clutched her child tightly. "Look, mate, I think there's been a misunderstanding," Ozzy's voice said, thick with a Birmingham accent. The older rocker stepped between Sarah and Mike, removing his sunglasses. His blue eyes met Mike's directly. "What's going on here?" Mike asked, frowning. "Sir, this doesn't concern you. Please step back," Mike insisted, but Ozzy did not move. "I know this woman," he said calmly, but firmly. "She's he paused, then continued, "cousin. I was supposed to meet her here to do some shopping, but I was late. Whatever she's buying, it's on me." Sarah looked at Ozzy, shocked. Who was this man? Why was he lying? Mike's suspicion grew. "Your cousin? Can I see some ID?" Ozzy pulled out his wallet. His eyes met Sarah's briefly. There was a silent message. "Trust me." Sarah sensed something: compassion, understanding, something that gave her hope. Mike examined the ID, his expression shifting instantly. "Are you Ozzy Osbourne?" Whispers spread through the crowd. Phones were raised. "Yeah, that's me," Ozzy said with a shrug. "Now, let's see what this young lady picked out, and I'll pay for it." "No problem, right?" Mike hesitated. This was Ozzy Osbourne. Was he really helping family, or covering something up? Then he glanced at the baby. Lily was crying, her face red and tear-streaked. Mike had a daughter, 3 years old. He recognized that cry: hunger, need, desperation. "All right," he said finally, his voice softening. "But payment must be made at the register." Ozzy smiled. "Of course, mate. No problem at all." He guided Sarah gently to the register, taking her by the arm. Shoppers watched, but their expressions had shifted from suspicion to curiosity. Sarah couldn't speak through her tears. At the register, Sarah handed the can of formula to the cashier. "This one, love." And actually, Ozzy paused and looked back at the store. 5 minutes later, he returned. His cart was full. Baby formula, diapers, baby food, canned goods, milk, bread, cheese, fruit, vegetables, $340 worth of groceries. As he handed his credit card to the cashier, he glanced at Sarah. "You got a car, love?" Sarah shook her head. I came on the bus, right? Well, that won't do with all this. Come on, my driver's waiting. Outside, a polished black Mercedes sat at the curb. Ozzy's driver, Trevor, a calm man in his 50s, had grown so used to Ozzy's behavior that nothing surprised him anymore. Ozzy motioned to him. Trevor, we're taking this young lady home, and all these groceries. Inside the car, Sarah finally found her voice. It cracked, but the words spilled out. Why? Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. I was stealing. Ozzy turned toward her. His expression held sadness but also kindness. Because? Love, he said slowly. I know what it feels like to be desperate. I know what it's like when life pushes you down so hard you can see a way out. Sarah couldn't hold back her tears. Lily slept quietly in her lap now, no longer crying. My husband died, Sarah whispered. 3 months before she was born. Car crash. No insurance. He left debts. I'm trying to manage, but it's never enough. Nothing is enough. Ozzy nodded with understanding. In the 1980s, he began, his tone more serious. I hit rock bottom. Sharon was ready to leave. My kids were afraid of me. One morning I woke up in a hotel room and couldn't even remember how I ended up there. I thought, this is it. This is how I go. But someone gave me a second chance. Sharon forgave me. She made me believe I could change. And now, 40 years later, I'm still here. He paused, looking directly at her. So when I see someone who's struggling, someone who just needs one person to reach out a hand, I make sure I do it. The car stopped in front of a small apartment building in Eagle Rock. It was old and worn, but it was home. Ozzy and Trevor carried the grocery bags inside. Sarah's studio apartment combined her kitchen, living room, and bedroom. Simple but tidy, with thoughtful touches. On the wall hung a photo of Brandon, young, smiling, full of life. Your husband, Ozzy asked. Sarah nodded. Brandon, Lily never met him. He was only 27. Ozzy stayed quiet for a moment, then pulled a business card from his pocket. Listen, Sarah, he said, using her name for the first time. This is my manager's number. I've already told him about your situation. Call him tomorrow. Sharon and I run a foundation. We help families going through hard times. Quietly. No publicity, no fuss. Just real support. Sarah's hand shook as she accepted the card. I can't take this. You've already done so much. You're not taking charity, Ozzy said gently, but with conviction. You're accepting help. There's a difference. Charity is given out of pity. Help is given because someone understands what you're facing. Trevor stood by the door, familiar with moments like this. Whatever people said about his boss publicly, Trevor knew the truth. Ozzy was a kind, generous man with a damaged but remarkable heart. Before leaving, Ozzy reached into his wallet and handed Sarah $500. For rent, he said, or electricity, or whatever you need. No explanations, no conditions. Sarah's legs weakened, and she had to sit. I don't know how to thank you. You've saved me. Ozzy shook his head. Don't thank me, Sarah. Just survive. Raise that beautiful little girl. Show her that even when the world gets dark, there's still light. That's how Sarah was thanked. As Ozzy and Trevor drove away, she watched from the window, stunned. Was this real, or just a dream? But it was real. The grocery bags on the table, the money in her hand, her baby's full belly. That night, Sarah slept peacefully for the first time in months. But this was only the beginning. The next day, Sarah called the number she had been given. Ozzy's manager, Jim Beach, answered with a calm, professional tone. Sarah, Ozzy told me about you. I'd like to meet. Our foundation can help. A week later, Sarah arrived at the Osbourne Family Foundation's office. It was a modest space, warm and welcoming, with walls lined with family photos and thank you letters. Jim explained what they could do for her. We'll cover 3 months of rent. We'll also connect you with a local food bank for monthly basic food packages. And if you're interested, we can offer free career counseling and accounting classes to help you find better work. Tears of happiness filled Sarah's eyes. But Jim wasn't finished. One more thing, he said with a smile. Sarah was speechless, overwhelmed with gratitude and pride. One small act of kindness had completely changed her future. 6 months later, Sarah had rebuilt her life. She had a new job as an administrative assistant at a local hospital, earning enough to cover her expenses. Lily was healthy, happy, and growing. And Sarah still remembered that day, the shame, the fear, and the unexpected generosity at the supermarket. She never saw Ozzy again, but she prayed for him every day. As she tucked Lily into bed, she would whisper, "There are good people in this world, baby. Someone gave your mama a chance. One day, you'll give someone else a chance too." A year later, Sarah began her own small act of kindness. Each week, she brought groceries to families in need in her neighborhood. 4 or 5 families at a time, small gestures, but meaningful ones. When asked why, Sarah would smile and simply say, "Someone once did this for me." Kindness isn't something you keep, it's something you pass on. One Saturday morning, returning from shopping, Sarah received an unexpected message. The number was unfamiliar, but the message was clear. "Dinner tonight, 6 p.m., our place. Bring Lily, Sharon." Sarah read the message 3 times, her heart racing. She had been invited to Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne's home. Could this really be happening? That evening, as she got ready, Sarah's hands trembled. She chose a simple yet elegant navy dress and dressed Lily in a white dress, tying her hair with a ribbon. When they arrived at the Beverly Hills address, Sarah held her breath. The door opened, and Sharon greeted them with a warm, genuine smile. "Sarah," she said, hugging her. "And this must be little Lily." Inside, the home was surprisingly normal. Family photos lined the walls, toys were scattered for the grandchildren, and the aroma of freshly baked cookies filled the air. Ozzy sat in a large armchair, immersed in a book. When Sarah entered, he looked up. There she is, the warrior woman herself. Sarah laughed softly. "I'm not a warrior," she said quietly. "Just a mother trying to survive." Ozzy placed a hand on her shoulder. "Love. That's exactly what a warrior is." During dinner, Sarah shared everything: her new job, Lily's daycare, how her life had changed. Sharon listened, eyes glistening. "You know what I love about your story? It's not that someone helped you, it's that you helped yourself. We just gave you a push. You did the climbing." Ozzy nodded. "Bloody right. You grabbed that second chance with both hands." After dinner, Ozzy led Sarah to the music room and opened a drawer. Hundreds of letters and cards were tucked inside. "These are from people we've helped over the years," he said softly. "I keep every single one. Sharon thinks I'm a sentimental old fool." His eyes shimmered. "But these are worth more than any Grammy." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. "I want to do something," she said suddenly. "Not in return, but just something." Ozzy looked intrigued. Sarah took a deep breath. "I have been helping families in the neighborhood. It's small, but it's real. I want to do this in your name quietly, no media, just spreading kindness." Ozzy hugged her tightly. "That is the best bloody gift anyone has ever given me," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Not gold records, not sold-out arenas. This, at the end of the night, as they left, Lily had fallen asleep in her mother's arms." Sharon turned to her husband. "You're a good man, Ozzy Osbourne," she said. Ozzy smiled. "I'm trying, Shaw. After all the mistakes, I'm just trying to get it right." Sharon kissed him. "You already have, love. You already have." 2 years later, Sarah's small program had helped 38 families. It hadn't made headlines, but it was real. Lily was now 4. Just last week at school, she drew a picture: a baby, a woman, and a long-haired man with glasses. Sometimes salvation doesn't arrive as a miracle. Sometimes it happens in a supermarket on an ordinary Tuesday, when a stranger says, "Not on my watch." Sometimes heroes don't wear capes, they wear leather jackets. And sometimes the most meaningful act is simply reaching out to stop someone from falling, because we all stumble. The real miracle is when someone cares enough to lift us up, and that kindness ripples outward, touching every life it meets.